The stock market returned to losses on Tuesday after 2 weeks of massive gains, and the NSE market capitalization declined by 131 billion naira to close at 11.131 trillion naira from 11.262 trillion naira. The NSE All-Share Index declined by 1.16% to peg the year-to-date return at 19.82%. Volume of shares traded advanced by 16.83%, while the market value of transactions declined by 15.07%. The market reflected 42 gainers and 22 laggards. A total of 744.992 million shares valued at 6.5018 billion naira exchange hands in 7,841 deals. Sterling Bank plc led the gainers chart, having appreciated by 9.76% to close at a year high of 0.90 naira. This was trailed by May and Bega Nigeria plc, Champion Brewery, Diamond Bank plc, and UNCN Property Development Company plc. Among the top losers of the day were Mobil Oil Nigeria plc, Dangote Cement plc, MPF Microfinance Bank plc, Unilever Nigeria plc, and Azamasa Insurance plc. Meanwhile, an international brewery, a subsidiary of Benga Brewery, Azua Busher InBev, has announced a possible merger with Interfat Brewery Limited and Parboard Brewery Limited, also owned by ABN. The proposal, subject to regulatory proposal by the National Stock Exchange and the Security and Exchange Commission, as well as shareholders, was announced on Tuesday through the NSE. The brewer, in a statement, said the proposal was considered and approved by its board in a meeting on June 2, 2017, and was expected to benefit all stakeholders, particularly shareholders, in the forms of increased revenue and cost synergies, enhanced operational efficiencies, better resource management, and more streamlined operations. According to the statement, the three companies will continue to operate as separate entities until the regulatory and shareholders' approvals are received. London shares fell on the final day of the general election campaign before voting begins tomorrow. Polls shows the Conservative Party is on top in the polls, but not by much. Security has become the #1 issue, and yesterday Theresa May said she will change human rights laws if they get in the way of tackling terror suspects. She said this will help restrict freedom and movement of those posing a threat and deport foreign suspects. The UK seek opt-out from the European Convention on Human Rights, which it has abided by since 1953. The Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, said the UK would not beat terrorism by ripping up basic rights, while the Lib Dem said it has a cynical pre-election move. Oil prices deepened on Wednesday with Brent crude futures around $50 per barrel as global fuel markets remained oversupplied, although rising tension in the Middle East and falling U.S. inventory lent some support. Brent crude futures were trading at $50.05 per barrel at 2:42 a.m. GMT, down 7 cents from their last close. Brent is almost 8% below its open on May 25th, when OPEC said it, along with producers outside of the group such as Russia, would extend its oil output quota through to the first quarter of 2018. U.S. Texas Intermediate crude futures were at 48.30 barrel per dollar, down 6% from the previous close and 6% below its opening on May 25th. Traders said ongoing fuel supply overhang was keeping prices under pressure despite the agreement by oil cartel OPEC and non-OPEC producers to extend cuts of almost 1.8 million barrels per day of production. World fuel production and consumption is roughly in balance at almost 98 million per barrel, although inventories remain somewhat bloated, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Traders said the market was supported by heightened political tensions in the Middle East and by signs of a gradual drawdown of bloated fuel inventories in the U.S. Senior market analyst at Oando, Jeffrey Hawley, said that it is now becoming clear that port restrictions on Qatari flag vessels are going to cause loading disruptions, adding that the disruptions are seen as inconvenient rather than systematic and thus will be only put a floor on crude in the short term rather than starting a panic rally. In the U.S., crude inventories fell by 8.7 million barrels in the week to May 26. Data from the American Petroleum Institute showed late on Tuesday. And now we'll join Okemiti 4 stories from around the world.
Thank you, Ogali. The Western Cape is bracing for an intense cold front expected to make landfall on Wednesday, and authorities have warned of possible flooding and gale force winds, urging residents to protect their properties. All schools in the Western Cape, as well as the universities of Cape Town and the Western Cape, will be closed. A spokesperson for the Provincial Education Ministry, Jessica Cheval, says the decision follows extensive consultations with forecasters and disaster management, adding that all learner transport will be suspended. Jessica Cheval says that all primary concern at this stage is the safety of learners and staff, as the storm may damage some schools, which could place learners and staff at risk, as well as those who commute to school, especially in the rural areas. They have been advised that the storm will abate on Thursday and schools will therefore reopen on Thursday. Kenya's Electoral Commission says it is yet to decide which company will print ballot papers for elections being held in 2 months, after speculations that the deal had been handed to a Dubai-based firm whose contract has been blocked twice. Spokesman for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Andrew Limol, says they are still working on it and that communication will be made as soon as a decision has been taken. The IEBC also says it is addressing the issue of the procurement of ballot material with utmost urgency. The IEBC is struggling to secure 130 million papers for elections on August the 8th, as the dismissal of 2 key officials in the space of a week raises questions about the body's ability to conduct a credible vote. President Uhuru Kenyatta is seeking a second 5-year term at the election, in which his main challenger will be opposition leader and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. It was reported earlier that the 2.5 billion shilling, about $24 million contract had been added to Al Ghurair Printing and Publishing Limited, even after 2 previous attempts to award the deal to the company was halted by Kenya's High Court and the Public Procurement Administrative Review Board, citing irregularities. An assistant customer service manager at Al Ghurair, Abdul Qayyum, said he had no news about the contract and that he may have further information on Thursday. The company has printed ballot papers for Kenya by-elections since 2013. South Africa has fallen into recession for the first time in 8 years after economic growth shrank by 0.7% between January and March. The downturn, due to weak manufacturing and trade, followed as 0.3% fall in GDP in the final quarter last year. It is the first time that economic has slowed for 2 consecutive quarters, the technical definition of a recession since 2009. The value of the rand fell by 1% on the currency market. Analysts had expected GDP to grow by 0.9% during the first quarter. However, Jody Beer, Deputy Director General of Statistics of South Africa, says South Africa's third largest economy is under pressure after President Jacob Zuma fired its respected Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan earlier this year. It prompted 2 credit rating agencies, Standard & Poor's and Fitch, to downgrade South Africa's credit worthiness to junk. This means it is more expensive for South Africa to borrow money because it is seen as having a higher risk defaulting on its debts. We'll go on a short break. More news when we return. Please stay with us.